Okay, we have discussed the first two trainings of the Sevenfold mind training, which are the contemplation on impermanence in kind of three different ways, and contemplation on the difference between temporary and lasting happiness, reflecting on which action lead to long-term benefit and which action lead only to short-term result. Now we come to the third mind training. It says, third mind training, training the mind through reflection on numerous conditions. Once we take birth in samsara, there is nothing we can fully trust or rely upon. Even if we help others, they may harm us in return. Eating and drinking may lead to illness or even death. The possessions we accumulate might ultimately benefit only our enemies and thieves. Those we trust as friends and from whom we expect support may turn against us. Even if they do not harm us directly, they may speak badly of us or criticize us for no reason. No matter what we do, we cannot satisfy everyone, and there is no end to these difficulties. How terrible! Now, the third practice is to look closely at the many causes and conditions that change our lives. In samsara, it said nothing can truly satisfy us. So by reflecting on this, the mind grows wiser and have less, as I said, attachment. Samsara is unstable by nature because everything is conditioned. Um, Nothing provides completely security or people, possessions, relationships, and circumstance all change, right? Even our good intention do not guarantee good response. People's reactions depend on their own state of mind, um, karmic tendencies, misunderstandings, and so on and so forth. So sometimes good actions repaid with negative. Even the most basic action meant to support life can sometimes bring harm. And then Lhongchenpa said, like food and drink can cause sickness. This shows how unpredictable conditions can be. And include here wealth and belongings are not stable source of happiness. They can be stolen or used by other people. Even if we protected them now, someone take them when we die. And in samsara, friendship change all the time. people's feeling change due to different causes and conditions, due to emotion, jealousy, misunderstanding, influenced by others. Relationships change in samsara. Sometimes they criticize behind our backs, even though we do nothing wrong. So all this show that how unpredictable human emotions and opinions can be. So the bottom line is no matter what we do, we cannot satisfy everyone. Some people appreciate your help, but others misunderstand it, reject it, or react very negatively. So this shows how unpredictable beings are, human. So in samsara, problems arise um, continuously because all the causes and conditions never stop changing. So understanding this situation, the nature of samsara is very helpful. Then it says, I'm going to read. When we genuinely examine the attitudes and actions of beings, we can see that even when we try to help them, we may please some but not others. No matter our intentions, nothing is beneficial for everyone. All actions carry the nature of suffering. Therefore, countless circumstances that can bring sickness or even death, and nothing can be trusted as truly good. The only completely reliable refuges are the Guru and the three jewels. Having devotion and making offerings to them bring happiness in this life and future. For this reason, we must turn our minds only toward virtue. So, so as I said, every action in samsara carry the nature of suffering. This is because samsaric actions come from ignorance and attachment and self-centeredness. So their results are mixed, never purely positive. Therefore, the countless circumstances that can bring suffering and unhappiness. And so it says here, nothing can be trusted as truly good. It means nothing in samsara is absolutely reliable or completely positive. That's what I mean. Everything is unstable in samsara due to the circumstances we create, based on ignorance, um, attachment, anger, all this. That's why uh, never there is nothing like purely positive. So everything is unstable in samsara. If we that's a problem. Everything is unstable in samsara. We want a permanent. So it says here the only reliable is the three jewels. That means they bring great benefit, such as peace, clarity, protection, and also creates cause for future happiness, meaning very fortunate rebirth. So therefore it says, for this reason we must turn our minds only toward virtue. The mind should be, as a Buddhist practitioner, mind should be directed to good actions that lead toward genuine happiness and eventually liberation. Now it says, with this understanding, we should contemplate the positive and negative circumstances we have created in the past, those we are creating now, and those we will create in the future. At the same time, we must develop a sense of disenchantment and let go of pointless plans and speculations. The measure of accomplishment here in this practice, these are very important. Once you practice, for example, impermanence, so for, practice renunciation, all this. So you have each um, the seven trend, mind trend, and there has this measure of accomplishment. That's how you develop, how much you develop your practice. You can see, so you can measure. So here, this one, the measure of accomplishment here in this practice is to feel compassion for the sentient beings of the six realms, and to clearly recognize the value of making offerings to the three jewels in the Guru. The purpose of this, okay, there each one has, measure accomplishment and purpose, right? The purpose of this contemplation is that it serves as a preliminary to genuine faith. So this practice encourages us to reflect on karma, right? The effect of our actions, that's karma. So for example, it's a past action influence our current life, like yesterday's action influence today's life. Today's, like present action, change um, this current experience, and then future actions will determine what is to come. So therefore, uh, here you need to focus on karma, the effects of our actions. Karma means our action. So basically, so there, in order to um, observe, we have to be mindful. So mindful of these three actions: past, present, and future. Then we cultivate so, responsibility, right? Responsibility and awareness. Awareness, we know what we're doing, our actions. These three actions, past, present, future actions, we cultivate responsibility. So Lhongchenpa reminds us that recognizing unreliable nature of worldly things, we can stop chasing meaningless actions and stop being caught up in endless thoughts and worries if we taking care of these actions, three actions, with mindfulness. So the practice is successful when it generates genuine care and benefit others. That's what we do through our actions, right? And compassion is the sign that our mind is developing correctly, and recognizing the three jewels are reliable source of guidance, protection. So the goal of reflection on past, present, and future actions, developing, um, cultivating compassion, and recognizing the value of the three jewels is prepare the mind for practice. So this reflection lays the foundation for genuine, unchangeable trust, faith. Um, and unchangeable, stable trust in the path of Dharma. And this bring, free from blind belief and misunderstanding. So this mind training, the essence of this practice, we have to be mindful of our past, present, future actions, karma, and uh, develop unchangeable, genuine, unchangeable faith, trust in the path of Dharma. That's third. Now, the fourth mind training, it says, fourth mind training, training the mind by reflecting on the pointless of ordinary activity. The concerns of this life include protecting friends, defeating enemies, cultivating fields, profiting from trade, pursuing um, status, indulging in attachment and aversion, seeking recognition and influence, as well as spending time with friends and relatives or working to repair our home and so on. Nothing gained through these activities will accompany us beyond the moment of death. So ultimately, they bring no lasting benefit. Okay. This one, as you know, most people protect their family, their friends, uh, of course, work to make money and care about, comfort and so on and so forth. This is not wrong. It is necessary. It is necessary. It is simply human nature. It's necessary. Uh, don't misunderstand. Lhongchenpa not against these things. Seems like it, but it's not. This is not wrong. But the purpose of this mind training is not to tell us stop um, helping our family and friends, or not to tell us give up your goals. Instead, it teaches us to understand the true nature of things while continuing to live our normal lives. So this teaching is about recognizing the nature of life, not about rejecting life. Just understand, we have to learn about nature of life. It means people or we don't need to change our external circumstances, right? But rather the inner way, they're related to external situation. How do we handle external circumstances? So even for example, when best friendship eventually end in separation, how do we handle? How do we see that? How do we, go through that without suffering, unhappiness? That's what this means. This says your wealth, disappears when you die. Your reputation changes constantly. All of this happens because everything is impermanent, basically. So that means doesn't say we have to reject all of that, but it says like you continue doing your daily activities, but you learn to hold them lightly, you know. You don't, it means like you don't cling to them as the source of permanent happiness. Uh, Basically, Lhongchenpa says like you have, you know, probably noticed that even when you get what you want, the satisfaction doesn't last long. And you have noticed that many of the things you worry about today will not matter in a month or a year, right? So why worry? So this mind training makes daily life basically less stressful or more meaningful. That's the essence. For example, you relate to people knowing that your relationships are precious because it is temporary. It is not forever. You never know when it changes. So while you have a relationship, you should see it is important, it is precious. Uh, you protect your friends with compassion and wisdom, not like possessiveness. You know, you remember that each moment is precious. Longchenpa said here, like you work for money with contentment, not with competition or fear or stress or like that. He's not. He's not saying, "Hey, stop, make money." Not saying that. You make money with satisfaction, with necessary. Not with fear, competition. They make this much money. I should. I hope kind of that competition. Not that doesn't bring you happiness or satisfaction. So therefore, it teaches us great wisdom and understanding of impermanence. So this training removes the stress, fear, and clinging around ordinary life. The the bottom line, the problem is the clinging. The we always think this permanent, right? Permanent. If we really understand deeply in our mind impermanence, I don't know what will happen tomorrow. We really enjoy today and we really appreciate today's time and today's action, today's whatever you encounter. We appreciate, but we don't because tomorrow. Tomorrow I will do this. So we just really we have this stone permanent everything. And even though like intellectually we know it, but this that doesn't help this inner happiness or satisfaction, all that. So therefore, this mind training teaches us great wisdom, meaning we will understand the nature of life, nature of samsara. And once you understand that, it removes the stress, fear, selfishness, all this. And it does not destroy your goals and your life. Uh, it helps you pursue them with a free and peaceful mind. So the point of this teaching is not to stop acting, but to stop cleaning. That's what he wants us to understand. Um, Never stop your action, whatever you are doing, do it. But stop cleaning, selfishness or whatever, and care deeply, but don't sort of grasp. And you should act wholeheartedly, but don't harm. So that kind of. Um, so whatever you do, make sure that it makes your life better, not worse. That's what the meaning of this mind training. So we spend much of life trying to protect the people we like, and we fight against those we dislike. Why? This is driven by attachment, ignorance, and aversion, right? And especially this attachment and aversion, these two emotional habits that Buddhism teaches will lead to suffering, not happiness. We usually work to, build relationships, gain power, and protect our reputation. These are ordinary goals focused on short-term worldly success. We become concerned with how others see us and try to change their opinions, try to control others. So all these activities, sometimes may bring temporary solution, which is good, but they have no lasting sort of value for spiritual liberation, for what happens after death. So we know all this, and we have seen it many times, yet we still live as if everything will last forever. So teaching is advise us that we don't need to abandon anything, keep everything, but simply bring in awareness, gentleness, non-attachment. So in this way, every part of your life naturally becomes practice. Then you are on the right path. The problem is not what we do. The problem is how tightly we hold on to everything in this samsara permanently, Instead of holding tightly to everything, we can learn to appreciate everything about life about um, around us. If you really know how to practice impermanent, brings this happiness, joy, appreciation, all that. And then if something really bad happens, you know, you already, you know, you can really handle that situation rather like, suffering or, so, but if we have like this belief, like this permanent, then something happened, it's really difficult to handle. And if we believe and rely on them for our deepest the happiness, then we will always be disappointed. But if we live our life with wisdom, understanding, and free heart, um, you know, then ordinary actions become part of spiritual practice. What is different? So basically, these teachings advise, all the things we do in this life are temporary, basically. But this teaching does not say we must abandon everything because everything impermanent. It's not saying. But it only asks that we understand our limitation clearly so that we can live very happily in a, precious life. That's the essence, okay? Not, don't misunderstand. Oh, these teachings tell us we have to abandon everything because of everything impermanence. Not like that. The outside, you just leave it as whatever it is, right? We have to change it inside. Um, that's the practice. Now it says everything we have done up to now is nothing more than a memory, like last night's dream. Our experience today are like tonight's dream. And everything we do from tomorrow onwards will be like tomorrow's night dream. How misguided it is to have spent all our entire lives caught up in pointless attachment, aversion, conflict, the pursuit of pleasure and fame, avoiding pain and discomfort, accumulating possessions, grasping at everything as if it were permanent. How terrible. How terrible is Tibetan's Nyangri, Tsangri means how terrible. Okay. So here this teaching tells us that again, everything we have accomplished or suffered, struggled with, worried about, or desired, and so on, until this moment is nothing but just a memory. That's what this teaching. So it is as insubstantial as a dream we had last night, which disappear, right? Which disappears the moment we wake up. Then it just become a memory. So the past is already gone. It cannot be relied upon. And everything we are doing right now, our concerns, emotions, meetings, and conversations, teachings, all this, whatever we're doing will soon become nothing more than memory. So we usually like the present moment, we may feel solid and permanent, right? But it's also temporary and it's like dreamlike. And then the things we hope for, we plan for, or worry about in the future will end up the same way, insubstantial, like a dream. Nothing in the future has any permanence or certainty. The future is unreal until it arrives, and when it arrives, it disappears like a dream. So that's why it says how misguided it is to have spent all our entire lives caught up in pointless attachment and aversion. So that means we waste so much our precious time chasing desires and reacting to dislikes, all these negative emotions, right? If you think back your life, uh, this precious time, we wasted like so much, so much. So basically, it's saying don't waste anymore this precious life because these sort of emotional reactions are based on things that do not really last and do not really bring genuine, the ultimate, everlasting happiness, right? We cling to these illusions as if they were permanent, ultimate truth. That's we all intellectually understand, but that we just really the way we act is just this strong belief, the permanent, ultimate truth. Because that's why we fight, we harm, we argue, we compete, and this all this endless that's why pointless, it's just caught up in pointless attachment and aversion, and we just sort of collecting more and more as if they will stay forever, you know so usually like you work very hard and really difficult every single day, work, and you never spend your life something you really want. And then who knows, you work hard and then never enjoy your life, do ever whatever you want, you never do that, and then you're done. That happens all the time. So I always say, like, you work hard, that's necessary. But at the same time, do something that you really want. Don't wait, oh, first I do this and then I will do that. That's good goal, good plan, but the time don't let you do that sometimes. So at least we have to like let go of this grasping. Grasping creates suffering because it goes against the nature of impermanence. So none of these activities provide benefit for this life and future life. So it says, that's why it says, how How terrible. So this means uh, it is said that all beings, out of ignorance, chase after dreams, cling to illusions, and then suffer endlessly because they misunderstand the true nature of life. So it means it is how how terrible means it is sort of heartbreaking that we spend our short precious lives grasping at what cannot last and go through all these sufferings. So, how beautiful human life can be and how easily it is wasted. That's why how terrible that's Lhongchenpa use it, this word. And then now it says, worldly appearances are deceptive and illusory. Since we have not realized this, from today onward, we should loosen our attachment to them and focus on practicing only the noble Guru's instructions. The measure of accomplishment in this practice is not placing blind trust in superficial appearances. But remember, it is the Guru's authentic instruction that guide me. The purpose of this contemplation is to rely on the Guru's spiritual guidance and genuinely apply the instructions in practice. Um, Now, here again, it reminds us that we should not cling to worldly appearances as a source of everlasting happiness. Okay, we always need to think, oh, these are important but temporary, day to day, not like lasting happiness. So again, this we may understand intellectually, but still emotionally, cling to these worldly things, right? Therefore, we need reliable spiritual path, given more time to spiritual practice and less to unnecessary attachment so that we can reduce emotional grasping and ignorance. So we should not trust everything that seems attractive or important on the surface. So worldly situation often mislead us because we interpret them through ego and habit. So the point here is that we should rely on Dharma teachings and qualified spiritual guidance and instructions in order to purify inner stone, this whatever you call it, positive or negative or whatever, this habit, and we should develop wisdom because worldly situations mislead us only when we trust ego and habit. But the world does not deceive us by itself, right? Our condition, the mind, deceives us because ego and habit influence how we interpret experience in daily life. Ego and habit, that's our enemy. Ego uh, narrows experience to me or mine, I, right? Then habit repeat familiar sort of reactions without examination, with wisdom. And then both these habits and ego together, we make mistakes. Make mistake means we, mistake like temporary pleasures for lasting happiness. That's a big mistake. Therefore, Dharma teachings offer a sort of corrective perspective. Dharma teachings give good methods to examine these experiences. If you examine these experiences and um, you feel this is good, then your ego inhabits good. If you, the problem is we just believe it, we trust blind, this ignorance. We don't examine, we don't practice. Then that's the problem. So we are blind, to our own dips to the habits without Dharma teachings. Therefore, by relying on Dharma teaching and authentic guidance, Lhongchenpa says here, we purify this inner confusion and allow wisdom to unfold, transforming ordinary life into the path. That's why. So, bottom line is you don't have to reject anything about your life, but please develop the inner wisdom. That's what all this mind training, sevenfold mind training, all about. Okay, now we'll here stop and again